a bunch of crazy stories written by the Brothers Grimm. And now you're gonna learn all about them, listening to the Brothers Grimm.
Students and scholars, friends and relations, hello, hello. Welcome to the Brothers Dim podcast, a podcast in which two non-scholars who are kind of becoming scholars at this point read and review and dissect the Brothers Grimm fairy tales, including this one, story number 63, The Three Feathers. My name is Phil.
Yeah, my name is Mike.
Mike, how are you now?
I'm doing pretty all right. How about yourself?
I'm good. I'm decent. I had a good holiday, though I've been moving a mite bit slow lately.
Why is that?
Well, I had to have some surgery.
Oh, no.
I say I had to have. I had some surgery.
Oh, that surgery.
Yeah.
Surgery.
The surgery was balls related.
the married dude midlife surgery.
The snip.
The sack of peas.
I am now free, I say, to have sex with as many people as possible without risk of impregnation. After I wait a few months.
How exciting.
Can't do it right away. Also, I'm married, so I'm not exactly free to do that, but I certainly can't get anyone pregnant. But I was wondering, have you been feeling any peer pressure to also get snipped? Because it's now, I was the I guess we were the last holdouts a little bit, but
yeah, we were.
You're the one that could breathe again, I suppose.
I suppose I could.
What if you and the wife see a young thing across the bar? You say, hey, me and the wife, we saw you from across the bar and we like your vibe. Can we buy you a drink? The fear, there's two fears, right? One is the fear that 20-year-old gets pregnant. That person gets pregnant, assuming it's a woman that. I was
going to say, you're implying this as a female.
I'm implying so, yeah, because assuming that it's a woman. But also, the important thing here is, so right now you just have two kids, right? And it seems that your kids are both smart and wise.
A little too smart and wise.
Well, there you go. Now, a third one might yield ye a simpleton who could become, if not king, someone very important, but B, fuck the shit up for the first two. Much like the brothers in this next story, story 63, The Three Feathers.
They are intolerable. Let's just get that out of the way right now.
Wait, the people in the Three Feathers or your children?
Yes. No, I mean, what's in the story?
Mike, without further ado then, if you don't mind, I will walk us through the plot of story number 63, The Three Feathers.
Do it up.
Once upon a time, there was a king with 3 kids, which sounds very familiar for the last few weeks.
It's a running theme.
2 of whom were clever and wise, and the third of whom was simple. So simple, they called him Simpleton. One day, the king realizes he is old as shit and is about to die. And whom should he give the kingdom to? So he has a little contest. He says, I want you to, all 3 of you, to go find me the best rug in the world. And whoever finds the best rug wins. But to keep it fair, I'm going to let feathers decide which direction you go to. So he releases the first feather and it goes east. And he's like, all right, brother number 1, you go that way. Another gust of wind, a feather goes to the west. Second brother, you go that way. The third feather just kind of gets blown up in the air, lands right at their feet. So he's like, you I guess find a rug in this field, jerkwad simpleton. And so the other brothers laugh. Simpleton sits down sad. Well, when he sits down, he sees, oh wait, in the middle of this field, there's a trap door. So I'm go look in the trap door. Opens the trap door, goes down some steps, and sees another little door. He knocks at it, and then hears someone from the inside saying, little green maidens all hopping here and there, hop to the door and quickly see who's there. Door opens. He sees this giant toad, and the toad's like, what? And the simpleton says, I would like a very fancy carpet, please. The toad says, all right, well, little green maiden small, hopping here and there, hop quickly and bring me the great box here. And that's the last of the poems. So he brings they bring out a really fancy rug. He brings the rug upstairs, getting ready to show it to his father. Now the other 2 brothers thought to themselves, hey, you know what? Little brother's just in the middle of the field. He's not going to get anything good. So that means we don't have to get anything good either. How about you and I just go get some shit carpets and we'll bring those back to dad and we'll win because he's not even going to have a carpet. So they do. They all go back. youngest brother has a good carpet. They're like, what? They have shit carpets. So the king says, okay, it's the simpleton it is. And Simpleton's like, great. And he goes to bed. Meanwhile, the brothers are like, no, Dad, no, no, don't let it happen. You have to give us another task.
That's not fair.
So the king says, oh, all right, fine. He finally gives in and then does the same thing. He's like, okay, how about everyone goes and gets me a really fancy ring? Same thing happens with the feathers. Kid goes down into the trap door, asks for a ring. The toad gives them a very fancy ring. The other brothers didn't do nothing. They went and found like the rings off of like a horse saddle or something like that. Just and they just like, ah, this is fine. Go back. They're like, little brother's not going to find a rug and a really fancy ring in the middle of the middle of a field. Oh, but lo, he did. King's like, all right, that's task number 2. So Simpleton it is. He's the heir. And then Simpleton says, okay, great. And then the brothers are like, no, Dad, no, no, no. And then finally, once again, this all happens, but the king says, okay, each of you has to go find a wife. Whoever's the hottest, whoever brings back the hottest wife wins. Okay.
This is some shenanigans right here.
Yeah, so they do the feathers, and again, down to the trap door does Simpleton go. He says, okay, Frog, I need a hot wife. And the toad's like, oh, okay, hold on. I have this little pumpkin with 6 little mice pulling it. Take my daughter, my toad daughter, and you put her in that pumpkin and you see what happens. And Simpleton says, okay. And they go and they do. And then as soon as he puts the toad in there, the pumpkin turns into a giant carriage. The mice all turn into 6 white horses. And then the toad girl turns into a beautiful princess. He goes and says to the king, he's like, oh, okay, hey, Dad, I got myself a hot wife. And the king says, oh, you did. And then the brothers come back. And they didn't bother to do anything again. They're like, I just find the first peasant girl that I see that I ask that says yes. But they're ugly. So Simpleton wins. And then the brothers are like, okay, this is going to keep happening. What we got to do is figure out a way to take this wife out. So they set up a hoop and they say, okay, here's what we'll do. Whoever's wife can jump through the hoop the best, that's who gets to be king. Simpleton says, okay, I guess I don't have much of a choice. And the brothers think, okay, we've got these good, stout wives. They can jump through a hoop. And he's got this pretty thing that doesn't know nothing about jumping. Although, they don't quite say it. I suspect the toadiness of this, the former toadiness may help in some respect. They go on with this. The older brothers' wives are too fat, basically. So they jump through the hoops, and then as soon as they land, they break both their legs and their arms. But the hot wife, the hot wife jumps through very cleanly, and the king's like, all right, that's 4. I can't keep doing this. So he gets to be king. So then the old king dies, and then the new king, who with his fancy rug and his fancy ring and his hot wife, and has ruled wisely for quite some time. The end.
Do you think the older brothers kept the wives? Like the peasant wives with the broken arms and legs?
No.
It's like, well, back to the village with you.
I don't know that they technically got married. They just maybe they were just engaged. Yeah, I would send them back to the village. What
You have failed me for the last time, you're Admiral.
She's like, you just told me we were going to a party. What's all this about you love me and then you want to marry me? I was told it was just to be a fancy luncheon.
Of course, meanwhile, through all of this, they're lying on the floor screaming.
Yeah. Do you have a moral?
Oh, I don't know. This one's weird. I was glad to see Simpleton again. Yeah, I don't have a moral here.
I think they're saying, have 3 kids because one of them won't be evil. That's the and maybe that's a moral for the aristocracy. One heir, and at least one spare. But like if one of them's a little touched on account of all the inbreeding, that you then at least have one that's good. I think that happened in Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
they had one good kid. He still died, but
yeah, Cersei and Robert.
Cersei and Jaime.
Cersei and Jaime. Supposedly
these are all incest babies. But for the rest of us, gather wealth, breed, but don't worry too much about where the girl comes from or what family she comes from. I think that the animal thing is a bit of a metaphor, maybe.
Well, the older brothers didn't really care about where the woman came from either.
Oh, okay, then maybe that's it. Like, don't just marry the first person that you come across. I suppose there's continuing on moral. I suppose there's the idea that okay, I have three sons. One of them has to prove themselves, and the way you can, who can get the most wealth, and who can provide a grand heir, as it were. And so that's the wife bit, right? Like
Mm.
find someone, if not, maybe not hot, maybe they're saying, like, but find someone pure the
Of good breeding
aristocracy
stock.
of great, yeah, of good breeding stock. I digress. Do you have a grade?
I went with a B plus.
Okay,
What about yourself?
I went with an A. I
Yeah.
thought it was so succinct. I feel like we've been doing a lot of these three brothers
Yeah.
stories lately.
This is better than some of the others.
Yeah, and this one really smooths it way, 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 way down. We're starting with even before this, but it's kind of starting with the Golden Bird, which was like a stupid amount of pages long, right? To get to
Oh.
what effectively is the same point
Yeah.
as this.
Yeah.
It's
That was a
just-
very rambling tale.
Yeah, you need to prove yourself by finding wealth and marrying. And whoever can provide an heir, that's the most important thing, but also have enough money to keep the family going, the legacy going, then that's also very important. So that's what we need to do.
My only issue with it is that Simpleton didn't do anything. Like he didn't do anything heroic or even clever. He was
No.
just like he's like, oh, I guess this is my lot. I'll sit in this field. Oh, look, there's a trap door and a magical toad that'll give me exactly the things I need.
He was smart enough to ask, I guess.
I guess. I mean, like maybe one of the older brothers would have just been like, "Oh, this isn't fair. My feather didn't fly anywhere."
Yeah.
God, they are such crybaby. Oh my God, I couldn't stand them. It was like 3 or 4 times. They're like, "That's not fair. That's not how it's supposed to work. We have to do it again.
Oh no.
We have to keep
Yeah.
doing it until one of us wins."
And then they kept not winning because they didn't deserve it.
I feel like in another story they would have just killed Simpleton and then had
Oh,
another
100%.
contest.
He would have come back, but
Yeah.
they they pushed him down a well,
Yeah, I guess this one's a little lighter.
stuck him in a barrel and put holes in the barrel.
Yeah, I did see there's a lot of different versions of this. It's a pretty old one. I don't know if any of those involve killing Simpleton right out, but
There's a million, and I was blown away by that. And well, first of all, so ATU Type 402, which is just the animal bride. That's and then a little bit of these the three brothers do some stuff, right? And
yeah,
youngest brother is Simpleton. I don't know what ATU type that is. I can't.
I see he's also referred to as Dumbling in some places, or I've seen him as Whitling too, which I feel like is ironic.
Whitling actually sounds a little bit like a name, like some weird old British name or something. But
Yeah.
Dumbling is hilarious.
Just gets right to the point.
Do you have any other notes, or do you have a pitch?
I actually do have a pitch,
Oh
believe
my
it or
goodness
not.
gracious.
So
And I'm very excited because it's a rare treat for me.
yeah, I with these I tend to look at the non-main characters and try to spin it and tell it from their point of view.
Totally.
So hear me out with this one.
Okay.
So once upon a time, there's a peasant girl named Isadora. Isadora's family is so poor that one day they sold her to a witch in the woods for a loaf of bread and a pat of butter. The girl lived with the witch for a time, keeping house and cooking the witch's meals, but as these things go, the witch one day found herself in a bad temper, and when the girl spilled some milk, she turned the girl into a frog and threw her out the window. So the young Isadora, now a frog, once again finds herself alone in the woods. Before nightfall, however, she comes across a fat toad who croaked to her, "Little maiden, green and small, follow me to our earthly hall." And
Hey.
without, I wrote a rhyme.
You did.
And without anywhere else to go, the frog maiden hops after the fat toad. They hop along for some time until they come to a burrow, and they squeeze themselves down the hole. And the frog maiden Isadora finds herself surrounded by other small green frogs just like her. They all welcome her, and she discovers to her relief that they too were all fair maidens trapped by a witch's curse. The toad who had found her gives them all shelter and teaches them the way of being frogs. The girl frolics and plays with the other maiden frogs, spending her days carefree and happy. They catch flies out of the air, prance among the ferns in the forest, and at night return to the burrow where they remain safe from predators. One day, early in the morning, while they're still preparing for the day, there's a sudden knock at the large wooden door at the far end of the burrow. The matronly toad hopped near to it, calling to her maiden frogs to gather as she went. As she approached, she called out, "Little maiden, green and small, hop to the door and see who is there." Isadora hopped forward and pulled the door open. On the other side was a befuddled-looking young man. The matron toad asked what he wanted, and to which he answers he's looking for the most beautiful carpet in all the land. Isadora is confused, but she looks back at the matron toad, thought she catches a knowing look on the toad's face. She calls out, "Little maiden, green and small, fetch for us the box over yonder." And with that, another 2 of the young maiden frogs carried forth a large box between them. The young man opens the box, and his eyes light up as he finds the most wonderful carpet ever seen on earth. With many thanks, he hastens away. After he leaves, Isidore and the other young maiden frogs gather around the matron toad and ask her what was this all about? Where did the carpet come from? Why did she give it away? What did this all mean? The matron toad merely smiles and says, "Little maiden, green and small, stay true to our word, and in time I shall reveal all." The very next day, the whole strange ritual repeats. The young man shows up, knocks on the door. This time he's seeking a beautiful ring. Matron Toad called for her maiden's forth, and within this box was indeed a fantastical golden ring like none had ever seen. The young man once again thanks them and departs. The maiden frogs had more questions, but again the matron toad simply says, "Little maiden, green and small, stay true to our word, and in time I shall reveal all." Almost as expected, the next day the young man again appears at the door, knocking and being granted entry. The matron toad again asks what he's seeking, and this time he says he's seeking a beautiful woman to be his wife. This time the matron toad replies that the most beautiful woman was not at hand, but he shall have her nonetheless. She called her maiden frogs forth and gave to the young man a hollowed out turnip and 6 mice ranged to it. At the young man's confused look, the matron toad says simply, "Select one of my young frogs to place inside of it." With that, the young man thrusts his arm into the burrow, clumsily patting around until his meaty fingers wrapped around Diana, the frog next to young Isadora, and the one who had become her closest friend. They all gasped as he withdrew her, and Isadora began to protest. But as the young man placed Diana in the hollowed-out turnip, the whole affair suddenly transformed into an enormous coach pulled by 6 white horses. Diana herself has transformed back to her human form, a lovely young woman dressed in the finest clothes. The young man quickly kissed Diana, and she smiled handsomely, and they raced off. As the door closed, the maiden frogs all gathered around the matron toad. "What happened? How did you know that would happen? Who was he? Will he come back and rescue us all?" they clamored, hopping around madly. "Little maiden, green and small. He will not return, but have patience, for there will always be another."
Awesome. Man, that's so fucking good.
Nice.
I
Again, it has no context if you don't know the original.
it absolutely does. I don't know how much you need the context of the other thing. Although, like, I appreciate that having the context works, but no, that was really good. When you do these, which is rare, but I adore it when you do. You pick an interesting person to have the point of view character.
Yeah, I don't know, it's usually where my brain goes.
Where I usually do like a different theme. It's very refreshing to hear that. But I digress. That was really good. I really think that I think you should write that one and the other one. There was Sweetheart Roland. Oh my god, that one was so good. But
yeah, I'm gonna build a section into the website that I'm putting together, where we can post these up there.
That'll be really good. I'm looking forward to that. So anyway, if there is nothing left to say about the story, I think we can call it. Before we do that, however, Mike, is there a way for anyone to contact us if they have thoughts they wish to share about what we have just said, or if they have any other thoughts they wish to express?
Sure thing.
Right now.
We can be always reached at brothersdimpodcast@gmail.com, and we are on Blue Sky at brothersdim. And just a little shout out, my oldest Mel wants to say hi to everybody and thanks for listening.
Oh, hi, Mel. Hey, that rhymes, but tell Mel hello.
I shall.
From Phil.
One day we'll get Mel on here.
I absolutely. We had Second Born on.
That's true.
Very good. All right. Well, thank you, Mike. And thanks to all of our fans for listening. This has been story number 63, The Three Feathers. Sleep tight, and we will see you next time.
See you.